All right, we'll get back to the question in just a minute, but tonight we have some special guests with us from the Seneca Park Zoo. So we have Tim and Othello.
Othello, that's right.
Tell us a little about Othello.
Othello is a barred owl, and he gets the name barred because of the stripes that are on his body. So it looks like little bars going across. Now, if you get the little joke, the bard is Shakespeare, and Othello is one of the famous plays from that. So we have a little bit of a play on words on that for his name.
Oh, okay. Very cool. So tell us a little bit about why we have Othello. We talked about this a little earlier. You know, he's not, you said, your usual zoo animal?
Yeah, so he is a really neat animal because unlike a lot of other animals that we have at the zoo, he is actually one of the animals that is originally from the wild. He has had a wing injury, which makes it so he can't really fly very well. So we are able to have him because of that purpose.
All right, because otherwise you're not allowed to have that.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Because he is actually a native animal, and actually the New York State rules say that you can't have anything that is native to the state as an animal that you'd have as like a pet or at your own house. Now, the reason why we do have him is that he has that wing injury. Bird bones are hollow. And they're very, very strong even though they're hollow. I like to think about like a piece of elbow macaroni. And before you cook that piece of elbow macaroni, if you try to crush it, it's very, very strong. It takes a lot of pressure. But when it does break, it actually shatters. Same thing with bird bones. That if a bird bone is broken, it shatters.
Right.
And so even though he's had some surgeries and everything else like that, his bone would never be strong enough for him to be able to fly again very well to, you know, make sure he could hunt his food and stay safe.
And that's very cool. You know, I remember as a kid we had a dog, but you didn't give the dog the chicken bones.
That's right, because they splinter and shatter. Yeah, that's right.
And
So you said that he's local to the area.
He is local.
So how would I go about, like, would I be able to see a barred owl out in nature besides going to the zoo?
You could potentially see one because they are found in this area. The best way I always like to say to look for them isn't by looking with our eyes because, of course, they're nocturnal. And if you look at him, he's got some great camouflage. So even during the daytime, he's going to be hiding really, really well. He's going to be sleeping during the day, and he usually gets in a hole in a tree, or he will get really high up in a tree and he'll hold like basically perfectly still. So the best way to really go looking for him isn't with your eyes, but with your ears. Barred owls have a call that sounds like hoo 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 hoo. Sounds like who cooks for you? Who cooks for you all? So that's the best way to really find them. And then from there, you might be able to get a glimpse of them. Once in a while, they're known to come out and hunt during the daytime, mostly when they have babies, when they have young birds in the nest, because of course those babies need to have a lot of food during that time period. Yeah. But other than that, normally you're not going to really see them during the daytime.
Oh. Pretty cool.
I see you have this really thick glove on.
I do.
It's not very stylish. So maybe it's a fashion statement, but why are you wearing such a thick glove?
Well, if you take a look, he's got some very sharp claws on his feet, and they're called talons. And talons are what he uses to be able to capture his prey. And most of the time, he's going to be eating mice or chipmunks or something that's scurrying about in the forest floor. But if he was to sit on my arm, it'd basically do the same job as it would on like a mouse or something. It would puncture the skin. And I really don't want to be crying here on TV. So
and we don't want you to cry.
We don't want you to
I
cry.
appreciate that. That's right.
You know, let's talk a little bit about his eyes. You know, I don't kids see how large those eyes are.
Yeah.
But they're so large that, you know, he's will he follow my finger? No.
Well, that's actually, he won't follow the finger with his eyes,
but with
his whole entire head.
Yeah.
He's got very, very big eyes and a very tiny head. And he doesn't have a lot of muscles that control the movement of his eyes. So his eyes are locked straight forward all the time. This is really helpful for him to be able to hunt because his eyes and his ears work together. Wherever his eyes are looking, that's actually the focal point of his hearing as well. So he might not be able to see that mouse, but he can hear that mouse, and he knows that wherever I'm looking or wherever I'm hearing is going to be that strongest point for my vision as well. So he'll go after that food that he wants to have, and then that's when those talons come into play.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Is it 270 degrees they can turn?
Yeah, it's about 270 degrees. That's one of those common myths that we hear about owls, that they can spin it all the way around. I watched a lot of cartoons cartoons when I was a kid, and you'd see these owls do that thing, and they won't actually do that. That's about 270 degrees, so about 3/4 of the way around. Or if you wanted to think about it, if you had your chin at the 12 o'clock position, you spun it around to the 9 o'clock position. That's about how far they can turn their heads around. The way that they're actually able to do this is that they have more vertebrae in their neck. If you feel from the base of your neck down to your shoulders, we have about 7 bones in our neck. Owls have between 12 and 14. For this type of owl, he has 13.
Wow.
Very cool.
Great. Well, thank you
Thank
for
you,
coming.
Tim. Thanks for bringing them on.
You're welcome.
Nice
All right.
star.
All right.